it's Jodie and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a video all about all of the book series that I'm still in the middle of, and I'm kind of scared because there's probably a lot. I have a really bad habit of starting a series, loving it and not picking up the next book, or hating it and not picking up the next book. Like, it doesn't matter. I just am weird and don't know how to read series properly, apparently. I am in the middle of 28 book series. Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to go in any like particular order, and I'm not going to give like massive like synopses or anything. I'm literally just going to briefly talk about them because I have 27 books to get through, and obviously I don't want this video to be long, and some of these I read a while ago and I honestly just can't remember like at all what they were about or why I didn't pick up the next one straight away. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the first book I have in the pile is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. So I read this, honestly I don't know when. This was like close to when it first came out. I started it and then put it down and didn't finish it, and then picked it up I think the end of 2018 or 2019. I think it was, it could be either, but whichever year. When did this come out? See, I told you I don't remember. Okay, so this came out 2019, so it must have been like the end of 2019 I picked this up, I think, or it could have even been 2020. Honestly I don't know, time is a blur, it's a void, I just don't know anymore. Anyway, yeah, I picked this up, put it down, stopped reading it, and then picked it back up again. This, I think I gave a more generous rating because towards the end I was like, oh my god, this is really good, but considering it didn't really grip me that much, wasn't the best, and I think that's why I just haven't like instantly picked up the next book. It just didn't have that like something, you know, it just didn't suck me in. I liked the main character a lot, and I did like the love interest as well, and it was really cool, but I just didn't get that same feeling like that I get with other books where I just want to like binge the series. Not to say that I won't continue on with this series, because I do have the second book and the third book. I think one of the main reasons I haven't continued on with this yet is because the second book is from the perspective of like I think one of the side characters, and like to do with them and somebody else, and that kind of threw me off because it was a little bit weird for a sequel to do that. So I think that's probably why, but I do plan to finish this eventually. I think it just basically is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and nothing does it for me like ACOTAR does when it comes to those, so yeah, that's probably why. So then next we have this book. So this is the second book because I just don't own the first book in hardcover. I have the paperback somewhere behind me, but I can't bother finding it. So the Shadow and Bone series, trilogy. I read the first book and I don't even remember what I rated it, but it took me a long time to get through that book, and I was just so underwhelmed. Everyone was like, oh, Alina and the Darkling, and everyone was acting like there was some kind of romance between them. There isn't. Like, I was clearly lied to, and that's probably why I disliked this book as much as I did. No, that's not true. Let's go into it. So the main character, just one of the worst YA characters I've ever had the misfortune of reading. The TV show, I don't mind, it's actually quite good, but the books are just terrible. Like, this is probably my least favourite book series I've ever read, and Alina is just so annoying. She just hates other women. She's just annoying. I just don't like her. Mal is just, I have no words for him. The only interesting character is the Darkling, but even then he's overhyped. Like, he's nowhere near as like what he is in the show, in the books at all. And yeah, the second book, don't know why it exists because it doesn't serve any purpose except to annoy you. I have read the first and second book. I need to read the third, and because of how much I disliked the second book and how awful it was, I haven't got on to the third. I do want to one day. Like, I would like to say I've read all 3 books and finished the series and know what happens, but maybe I'll have to wait until like they do, I assume, season 3 of the show or something to give me like a bit of motivation to finish it, because right now I don't have it. I read this I think in 2020. I haven't even looked at the third book since, so yeah, one day I will force myself to finish this series. Okay, so next is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. So I absolutely friggin' love this book. I read it for one of my Patreon buddy reads, and this is a retelling of Persephone and Hades, and it's a dark romance and it's full of smut, and I friggin' loved it. So good. I did start the second book very briefly when I went down to London. I read like 5 pages on the train and then didn't read the whole time I was there, and then by the time I got home I just picked up something else. no reason for that, because I'm sure I'm going to love the rest of the books because I love this and I'm excited to continue with the series. But at the same time, like, I just wasn't in the mood. And even now I'm like, oh, like, can I be bothered? Like, I've literally read this like 3 months ago and I can't remember the whole thing. Like, I'd need to reread this again before I read the other ones, which is frustrating. And I seem to do this a lot. Like, I have a really terrible memory. I don't remember things well at all. And if I leave it too long to go on to the next book in a series, I forget most of what happened in the first book. Even if I absolutely loved it, it just does not stick in my brain. After I've read another 2 or 3 books after that one, that's it, it's gone. It's been replaced by those books. Like, my brain doesn't have the space or the mental capacity to remember all these books or what happened, even if I love them. So yeah, kind of annoying. Anyway, speaking of which, From Blood and Ash. So I read this in 2020 at the start and it's really slow to get into, but I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 or 5 stars and I was so excited for the next book. And because it was so big and I wanted to get some other books on my TBR, I was like, I'll come back to it after a few other reads, and then I didn't. And now I feel like I've forgotten so much from this book that I need to reread this to read the second one and the third one. So yeah, I definitely want to. Really enjoyed this. Potentially will read this book maybe at the start of 2022. But it's just so annoying that I need to reread this big ass book. I mean, it doesn't look big here, but the paperback's huge. It's like 500 or 600 pages. But yeah, I think I'll need to do a reread first. If I do that, would you guys want a reading vlog series like I did for the ACOTAR series? Because I may do a reading vlog for each book. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I know I'm late to the party, everyone's read this series, but I've only read the first book, so yeah, I need to finish it. Then next we have The Deal by Ellie Kennedy, which is off-campus series. I've only read this book. I need to read the other 2. I only own the 3rd book, I don't own the 2nd one, but I definitely want to continue this series. So it's not really a series you have to read. Basically, the other romances in this series are characters from the 1st book. So one of the love interest's friends is in the 2nd book or the 3rd book, and so is like the girl's best friend, like things like that. So yeah, basically it is just the other characters and their romances, and I really want to continue with this because I read this recently and really enjoyed it. It's cringy, cheesy, smutty romance, but I enjoyed it and I want to read the rest. So this is another series that I definitely need to continue with, and preferably sooner rather than later. Then next we have The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. So this is one that I read in 2020, I think, and I really enjoyed it. It was so good. It's a book that isn't about vampires. Vampires just exist in this world, and that's why I think I liked it so much, because it was so different to most like vampire YA books. And I really like the writing. I really love the gothic setting. This is such like a gothic book, and I like the character and the sort of romance in here, but I just didn't pick up the 2nd book straight away, and now I've kind of forgotten a lot of what happened in here, and we'll probably need to reread this one to read the 2nd one. And I do have the Fairloot edition of the 3rd book pre-ordered, and that will be coming probably anytime now. So I really do need to reread this, or just like read like a refresh on this and continue with this series, because I really enjoyed it. It's just like such a nice kind of gothic YA book, and I love those. Then speaking of gothic YA, we have Stalking the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco series. So I have read the first 2 books in this series, and I started the 3rd book, which is the Houdini one. I can't remember the full title, and then I was just like, I'm not in the mood, and put it down, and I haven't continued it. So really I should reread this one and the 2nd book, because I could do the refresh. But I managed to read this in like 2017 and then pick up Hunting Prince Dracula in 2020, and I was fine. So maybe I will be okay going straight to the 3rd book, having not read this series for like a year. I don't know, but I really want to continue this series because I love Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell. It's Victorian London vibes, well, the Victorian era. They're in a different place each book, and each book they basically have to solve like a murder mystery, and there's romance in it as well. And it's just really good. I honestly love this series so much. I don't know why I haven't finished it yet, but I recommend this book, by the way. I love this book. This is one of my favourite books, and I definitely want to reread it, so maybe I will anyways. Next we have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So this is also one of my favourite reads ever, and I love this. I read this for the first time in 2020, and I was going to read Shadow of Night right after, and I did start it, but the problem is Shadow of Night, this is like historical fiction in a sense, and Shadow of Night is very heavy on the historical fiction side, like Old England, Shakespeare, like that kind of stuff. And I was just like, it was too much info being dumped at me at the time, and I was like, no, I can't like I'm just not in the mood for this. I don't want to read historical fiction, and I put it down to read it another time and I just still haven't gotten to it, and it's a shame because I love this book and I love the TV show. So I definitely do want to read Shadow of Night soon and continue this series and read the Book of Life and Time's Combat, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, so hopefully I do soon. This is basically like a supernatural romance between a vampire and a witch. Witch is like super powerful and she doesn't know it. I found this manuscript that everyone's like looking out for, and it's just really, really good. I've spoken about this book enough times on my channel, so I'm not going to go into it again. But I really, really do love this series, and I definitely do need to just make my way through the second book, and I bet I will enjoy it anyway. So next we have Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy, and I read this in lockdown last year and I really, really enjoyed it. This is enemies to lovers, and it follows like this kind of Bone Crier. I can't remember what they are, cannot remember most of this except for there was a big plot twist and it ended a bit like and yeah, cliffhanger. Romance was really good, I really enjoyed it, but I cannot remember most of it for the life of me. I cannot remember what the Bone Crier does. I remember basically she had to kill, I think, her first love, or her love, like the person she's destined to be with or something, to become a Bone Crier, and then she gets kidnapped instead and falls in love with their kidnapper, and there's a load of other stuff that happens here. That's roughly what I remember. I remember there was her friends' perspectives in here, like she had chapters, and I remember I hated that. Maybe that's why I haven't read the second book yet, I don't know. I do have the second book and I do plan to continue with this series, but again, I'm probably gonna have to reread this. I'm probably gonna be saying that for every single book in this video, to be honest. Okay, so this next book I read a long time ago, like a few years ago now, and I remember at the time I absolutely loved it, like so much, and I was like, oh my god, why aren't people like hyping this up, like why is no one talking about it? And I had it in a video of books I wanted to reread, and I had planned to reread this, but I just have not got around to it. My TBR is just far too big and overwhelming, and rereads are like a bit of a weird thing for me. Like I'll just randomly decide to reread a book or it just doesn't happen. So yeah, I do really want to reread this, and I'm definitely planning to next year, and to read the second book as well. But that is Onyx and Ivory, or Onyx and Ivory by Mindy Arnett, and honestly I cannot remember anything about this book at all. The only thing I remembered was it was enemies to lovers and it was good. That is all I remember. It's fantasy, it's YA, and I just remember loving it, and I was like, oh my god, like when I finished it, like I just could not believe how good it was. So yeah, I'm not even gonna look at what it's about because I don't want to know. If I'm going to reread it and I don't know, maybe it'll be like reading it for the first time again, and I can trick my brain into that and really enjoy it again. So yes, I just love this book, I remember that, and I have the second book on my shelf as well. So this is one that I'm still in the middle of and just haven't finished the second book, or I don't know if there's a third book, there may be a third book as well. I definitely do want to finish this series, and I feel like when I do reread it, I feel like I'm just going to love it all over again, and I'm excited for that. Okay, so this next one, kind of cheating with this one because I haven't actually finished this book, but this is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. So I'm actually halfway through this. I started reading this in the summer and just wasn't vibing. Like I was really enjoying it, and then you know when you just get one of those moods and you're like, I don't want to be reading this right now. It's good, but it's just not what I'm feeling. So I put it down and I just haven't gone back to it since. So I need to finish obviously Wicked Fox and then read the second book as well. Was really enjoying this. I loved the kind of Korean like folklore, and just all of it was like really good, and the characters, like it was just really interesting. I liked where it was going, but yeah, like I said, I wasn't in the mood for it at the time, and I definitely want to read this, but I've heard the second book is from I think different characters, and a lot of people don't like the second book, so yeah, we'll see about that one. So I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Boksu. So I've been working with Boksu for the past few months, and you all know how much I adore their boxes, and they have very kindly sent me yet another one of their amazing boxes to try this month. So Boksu is a monthly snack box subscription service, and they deliver a premium assortment of Japanese snacks right to your front door every single month, all the way from Japan. And these boxes give you the chance to experience real authentic Japanese snacks, which is really amazing considering at the moment we're still not able to travel to a lot of places, and this is just a little taste course in Japanese snacks, and it's just such a fun thing to be able to experience, and they are absolutely delicious as well. So you can sometimes get tea pairings in these boxes. You sometimes get multiples of certain items as well, which is really fun because it means you can quite often share these boxes with people. So I often share mine with Jamie, and it's just a lot of fun for us both to be able to enjoy this box. And obviously with Christmas coming up, this will make a perfect and memorable gift for one of those special people in your life, especially if they like Japanese culture and Japanese food. Then this is a great gift for them, and this is just a really unique present as well if you are looking for something a little bit different, or just something really cool to get for yourself as well. So not only would this just generally make an amazing gift, but you are also technically gifting them the opportunity to win free tickets to Japan, because Boksu are actually doing a giveaway, which is really amazing. They will be picking one lucky winner a chance to win free tickets to go to Japan. Anyone who's already subscribed to Boksu before the 31st of December is automatically entered, and this competition is for US residents only. And if you would like to know any more information about this giveaway or about Boksu, I will have the terms and conditions to the giveaway linked in my description box, along with Boksu's website as well. And my description box is also where you can find the discount code to get 10% off, which is vanillaxmoon10, and you can also therefore be in with a chance of winning those tickets to Japan. And you must do this before the 31st of December if you want to be in with a chance of winning. But all of the information will be in my description box and in the pinned comment on this video. Seriously guys, take up the offer. It's absolutely amazing. This would make such a good gift for one of the loved ones in your life, or even for yourself, and it's just truly an amazing experience in this tiny little box, and it's just delicious. But yes, thanks once again to Boksu for sponsoring another one of my videos, and now let's get back to the book. Okay, so this next one is an OG one, and that is Divergent by Veronica Roth. So I read the first two books, and I remember reading the Hunger Games like when I was about 13, I think. So we're talking like 10 plus years ago. And I binge read all 3 books in a night. Like I literally stayed awake for like 24 hours straight reading those books. I could not put them down. It really reignited my love and kind of introduced me to the world of YA, and like I was obsessed from that moment. Like I'd always been a big bookworm, but that was like really like in my early teens kicked me back into reading. And I was like, holy shit, like this is the best thing I ever read. And then I heard about Divergent on Goodreads, and people were saying it was like similar. So as soon as Divergent came out, I bought it. I read it and I was like, yes, like this is really good. I remember at one point I even thought it was better than Hunger Games. So yeah, basically I really loved Divergent, and then I had to wait like I think it was a year for the second book, and I did, and I read it and I loved that. And then I had to wait like a year for Allegiant, or whatever it's called. Is it Allegiant? I think it's called, or something. And then by that point I'd read so many books, like I just could not remember everything that happened in the second book, so I put off reading the third book and then just never got to it. So yeah, I think maybe one day I will actually reread this and reread the entire series. I would love to do that. I would really love to reread the Hunger Games, because I don't remember the last time I read that book. It was a long time ago, probably was 10 years ago. Maybe I will do like a vlog series on that as well, and like reread the Hunger Games and Divergent and see which one I like best. Like that might be fun. But yeah, basically I hate waiting for books to come out. It's too long. This next one I've spoken about a lot and keep saying I need to reread. It's been on loads of TBRs, it's been in the video of rereads, and I just haven't done it yet. Don't know why, don't know when, who knows. Definitely want to. I need to read this entire series because I loved this book. That's Serpent and Dove by Shadowhunters Mahoran. So this is again enemies to lovers, a witch and a witch hunter. It was really good. The main character is hilarious. Just absolutely adored this when I read it. And I just haven't gotten to the second book because by the time the second book came out, I'd forgotten bits that had happened in this book. And it's just not the same. Like I prefer to read a series all in one go than like waiting for the book to come out, because like I said, my memory sucks and I just don't remember things. So I want to reread this before I move on to the next two, and hopefully it's going to happen soon. But yeah, I'm not going to go into anything else about this book because everyone knows what this book is. This one's going to shock a few people. I have actually mentioned this before though. Yeah, Throne of Glass series. I got up to Empire of Storms, started it, and then someone gave me a terrible spoiler that just literally shook me to my core, and I was like, absolutely not, I'm not reading that. Nope. And I put the book down and I was like, right, I'll come back to that when I'm more like mentally and emotionally prepared to read that. That hasn't happened. That day has not come, and I still have not read Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn or Kingdom of Ash. So yes, I have not finished Throne of Glass, even though you all know I used to talk about this constantly, and this is like still one of my favorite books I've ever read, and it will always hold a special place in my heart because of when I read these books. Same with Akatar, but Akatar's like my favorite. But I loved Throne of Glass. I have reread this a few times, and yeah, it is cringy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the first book is cringy and it is kind of hard to get through, just because now like I'm older, I've read a lot more books since then. I still absolutely love it, but yeah, so like the reread's kind of hard. I feel like once I get through Throne of Glass again, and then I can just read the rest and finally finish the series, which I do plan to do next year. I own all of the books, obviously. I have like so many copies of them already, but I just haven't finished them. So I think at some point I will probably reread / finish with Mika, and yeah, I'm scared for that, like, because I love the series as well. I don't want it to end ever, so that's another thing I do. If I don't want a series to be over, sometimes I just procrastinate and don't finish it. But yeah, basically I really need to finish this like really bad and just face my fears of this spoiler, because it was a pretty horrible spoiler. But yeah, I haven't finished it, but I will. Okay, so next we have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. So I've spoken about this recently. I read this book a few months ago and I absolutely loved it. It was so good. And then I got the second book, started the audiobook and just didn't finish it. I can remember a lot what happened in this book, so I think I should be safe to continue with the second one. I just, again, wasn't feeling the whole, like, it's not really fantasy, but it reads like fantasy, but I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time, and I think I wasn't really listening to audiobooks either. Like, I must have just got busy and like not had time. I definitely do want to continue with this series and finish the second book. I think the third book comes out soon as well, so I should probably read the second book soon. But this is like enemies to lovers. Well, more, yeah, it's enemies to lovers. The girl is a trained assassin, basically, who marries him in order to murder him. We love that plot. We love that trope. Yes, please. It was really good. I highly recommend. I'm so excited to see what happens in the second book, because it ends on such a cliffhanger, and this girl is a girl boss. Like, she is, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I definitely need to pick this back up and finish this series. Well, finish the second book before the third book comes out. But this is a really good like series for like enemies to lovers, or if you like Sarah J Maas books like Throne of Glass, I feel like you would really like this. Okay, so next we have Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. So I have read the first book and that's it. I've read this twice. I read this with Vampathon both times, and I started the second book and then started reading something else. There's like 7 books in this series, so I definitely do plan to read this, but it's like that kind of cliche trash YA you have to be in a specific mindset for. So I feel like I could probably only read these books during readathons, and I don't have any coming up anytime soon, but maybe like next year I would maybe plan like a little bit of like a binge read of this series with Kay and Kat, because this is Kay's favourite book and like series, and I know Kat wants to read them all, so maybe we'll do that. And Lily, because Lily read the first one. Maybe she read the first 2, I can't remember. But yeah, maybe like I'll do something like that with my friends, and that will motivate me to read the whole series. Yeah, I did really enjoy this book. Like, it's just really good trash YA. Like, some trash is good. Next we have Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. So this is a middle grade, and this is basically a dupe for Harry Potter. If you don't want to read Harry Potter, you need to read this, and I really love this. It's funny, it has a girl, a main character, magic, and it's just a fun time. And I don't think I've read the second book. Have I read the second book? I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure I haven't, but I do own the second and third book, and I need to continue with this. It's been a while since I read this one though, so it's the same thing as the others. Do I reread this, or will I be okay to just jump into the second one? I feel like I'd be okay to jump into it, but it's just because it's middle grade, I have to be in a specific mood to read middle grade, and obviously I just wasn't in the mood to read middle grade when it came to reading the second one. So I definitely do need to finish that series. And another children's book is Amelia Fang. I've read this first book but not read the rest. I own the entire series. These are really short, cute little stories, and she has a pet pumpkin called Squashy, which is what sold me on this. So I do want to read this entire series. I always say every Vampathon I'll read it, and then I don't. So yeah, this is just a cute little series. Wouldn't really take me too long to read it, but I just haven't. Okay, so this next one, I don't know if I'll ever continue with this series or read it, because looking back, I didn't really like this book. I don't know, like, I did and I didn't at the time. Like, I'm not that person anymore I was when I read this book. My tastes have changed, and I feel like I was kind of reading this book for like other reasons. So yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy it though. Like, I did enjoy it at the same time, but it's just not my fancy anymore. Like, I don't think I'd enjoy the series. I do own the whole series because I was gifted them a few years ago, and the editions I own are really, really cool, but I just don't know. Like, I think maybe one day I'll listen to the audiobooks and finish it, because I don't ever want to get rid of this series because it has a really cool spine. Because I've read the first book, I kind of would like to continue on with the rest of the books, and I don't know, like, it is kind of like an epic series, so it would be cool to read them. But anyway, the series I'm talking about is the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. So I've read The Gunslinger. So I've read the first book, there's like 7 of them I think or something, and some of them are really big, but this is just, I don't know, I found bits of this confusing, and I just don't know if I could bring myself to read this series again. I don't know, I don't even remember a lot of this, to be honest. I really don't. I've got a headache now, and I think it's just because I'm thinking of this book, to be honest. Like, yeah, that's the best way to describe it, is a headache. A fun headache, but still a headache. So don't know if I'll ever finish the series. Then next we have The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. So this one I loved. This is The Last Wish, so it's technically not the first book. The first book's Blood of Elves, but this is kind of like a prequel-ish, novella-ish kind of thing. And I read this when the series came out at the start of 2020. I read this, I think it was like New Year's, and I really loved this. It was so funny as well. Like, Geralt was hilarious, but I just don't know if I am still like in the vibe for this kind of writing, because it's quite high fantasy. I think when the second season of the show comes out, it will make me want to pick up the books again, and maybe one day I will make my way through all of them, because I do own them all. I got them with a gift card when I bought this one, and I love this one so much I went and got the rest of the series with the intention of reading them all and binge reading them, and then I must have picked up a different release, and then I wasn't in the high fantasy mood anymore. So it happens, it's fine. Eventually I will read this series, like, I know I will eventually, probably not all in one go, but I'll just pick one up here and there. Like I said, maybe when the new season of the show comes out, I'll probably rekindle my vibe for high fantasy and I'll pick up Blood of Elves or something. I really, really did enjoy this one. Okay, so next we have this big chunk of a book, which is Outlander by Daniel Gabaldon. So I've read the first 2, I started the third one, and I was like, nah, I just can't do this right now, and I stopped reading it. To be fair, this is historical fantasy, and it is intense historical fantasy. We've got Gaelic in here. We've got a lot of history to wrap your brain around. We've also got time travel. We've also got a lot of really tense things happening. And we've also got some really horrendous, horrible, horrific stuff happening that you do not want to read. So yes, it's a lot. I really love this book though. This book is amazing. It's so good. Really, really loved it. It's time travel. It's romance. It's Scotland. It's just really good. So I read the first 2, and then I got to the third one, and the main reason with the third one I put it down as well is because they went from Scotland to France, and I just wasn't digging the French stuff. Like, I don't care, I'm just not into it. I like the Scottish stuff. Like, that's the main reason I wanted to read these, is because they were set in Scotland and like old Scotland, and half my family is Scottish, and I love that history and heritage, and I found it so interesting. Like, the Battle of Culloden and stuff gets mentioned, and like all of these like castles and like things like that, and it's so cool. I love that. So then when they went to France, I was just kind of like, nah, I just don't care, and this is historical fiction and I didn't like the history side of it. See why I was struggling. So I'm definitely going to continue and finish this series. Like, I know I will one day, but I just don't know when that day will be. And these are really big books, like they're over 1,000 pages, so it does take a while to get through them. I still have the third book and I will read it eventually, but yeah, I just don't vibe with the change in setting. I love the Scottish stuff, so yeah, I will return to the world of Outlander one day. Okay, so this next one is a weird one. So this is The Last Vampire by Christopher Pike. Now, this was my favourite book when I was younger. Like, this was the shit to me. Like, this was literally what I dreamed about. Like, you know, when you're a kid and you have like those fantasies of being like a superhero or something or whatever. Mine was like to be a vampire and to be like a really cool, like pretty vampire. Like, that was just like, that's what I wanted in life. Okay, don't judge me. And then I found this book, and this was everything I wanted at the time. Like, this is exactly what I was looking for, and I loved it. And I just don't remember how many of the books I read. I own all of them. They're behind me. So there's 4 in total, but you get like 2 books in each. And I don't know where I read up to in the series. And I recently reread this, like sometime this year I read this book. I can't remember when it was, just to see what it was like, and I did have fun. Like, it's really trashy, and this was written a long time ago, but I still enjoyed it, and I I'm therefore in the middle of it because I reread it and haven't continued, but I also don't think I ever finished this series though when I was younger, so I definitely want to continue on with it and just see how I feel. And it was just a fun, kind of funny time as well. So okay, so the last like book before I go on to some other things is this one here. So oh wait, this isn't the last book, never mind. Okay, so I started this series, which is the Infernal Devices, when I was doing this as a buddy read with Caitlin from Kate Literature and Kat from A Bambina Katerina, when we did this really cute readathon at the start of the year. I will link the vlog below because that was one of my favourite readathons I've ever done with my friends, and it's just so cute and we had such a fun time, but I just never finished this. So I'm kind of counting this because I started the series, but I haven't finished the first book yet, and I do plan to. But I also haven't finished the Mortal Instrument series. I'm still in the middle of that. I think I've read up to book 3 or book 4. And the reason I still haven't finished that series is because I absolutely loathe Clary and Jace. Like, I cannot stand them. They're up there with Alina. Like, they infuriate me. Jace knocks me sick. Like, I just don't like them. And it's hard to read a book series when you dislike your main characters. So I do want to finish it. I loved Set Your Bones when I read it when I was younger, but having reread it last year, I think, oh, I just, ugh, no, it gives me the ick. Like, it gives me the ick. I had to do audio. If I try to physically read these books, I want to vomit. So yes, I do need to finish this series. When that will happen, I don't know. I'm going to do it audio because it's the only way I can make myself do it. But I mean, maybe next year, like, I should probably start finishing some of these, so maybe next year will be the year I do. But Set Your Bones and Mortal Instrument series, I just haven't finished. I'm like halfway through nearly, and one day it will happen. It needs to happen because I own so many special editions of these books now, and for what when I'm halfway through. So yes, those are all the books. Now I have a couple of manga series and graphic novel series to go through. So we have Death Note. I've only read this one, which is volumes 1 and 2. I really enjoyed this. The reason I didn't continue with it is because I want all of the black editions, and at the time the next volumes had gone out of print. So don't know if they're back. I don't think they are. I think the later volumes are back in print in this edition, but I do need to buy the other ones in the black edition and then continue this on because I really love this. And then the next manga series is Tokyo Ghoul. So I can't remember which volume I got up to. I think I got up to volume 8 in Tokyo Ghoul, and I just wasn't reading as much manga anymore, and I just didn't like continue. I own up until like volume 11 or something, and I do plan to finish this one day because I really enjoyed this manga. It's some of my favourite manga I've ever read, but yeah, I just haven't finished it yet. There's not really any reason, but I will do. Maybe I'll do that at the end of the year to like fit in my Goodreads goal. Maybe I could like binge the rest of the manga in this series. Maybe I'll do that. Then we have Vampire Knight. So again, I think I read up to like volume 6 or something of this, and I was just a bit like, at the time I really liked it because it was the first manga I ever read, but then I was slowly starting to get a bit like bored with it. And I own all 15 volumes. I don't know if there's any more than that, but I own all 15 here. And yeah, because I own them all, I want to finish them. The reason I own them all is because I was looking for a specific volume, and then someone was selling like all of them that I needed on Depop for like a really good price. So I was like, do you know what, I'll just get them all now because that's like a really good price. Like, it was insanely good. So yeah, I do want to finish this series because I have them all and I was enjoying it. So hopefully I will come back to this one. And then the graphic novels, I have Saga. I've only read the first volume. I think I own the second volume, or did I read the second volume? I don't even know. I honestly don't know. This is overhyped to me. I liked it, but I was still a bit like, I don't know. I don't know about it. I really don't know. Will I continue with this series? Maybe. Like, if it was available for like £3, I'd be like, yeah, I'll have that and read it. But would I go out my way to actually buy it and continue them all? I don't think so. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe at a different point in time I will really enjoy this, but at the moment I'm just kind of like, I'm not sure. Same with this next one, which is The Wicked and the Divine. I have, which I think I've read the first 3 volumes. Is this volume 2? I picked up volume 2. I've read the first 3 volumes, and this is like good, and it ends on like a cliffhanger, but at the same time it's just not anything too special. But I kind of do want to carry on with it. So again, maybe if I just ended up with volume 4, then I would, but I don't know if I got my way to buy it kind of good, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do kind of need to finish this series. I just don't know if I'll bother, to be honest. Lastly, we have Monstress. So I own the first 2 volumes, and then I have the big hardback compendium that has a few volumes in. And I love this. This was probably one of the first graphic novels I read outside of like Marvel and DC and stuff. And I really loved it. And I've been meaning to reread it because I read this years ago. Like, we're talking close to when it first came out, I think. And I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember it being steampunk. So I really need to reread this and then continue on with the series because I did love it. I just haven't. I don't know why. It just hasn't happened. But yes, those are all of these series that I'm currently in the middle of and need to finish. Maybe I will put a month aside in 2022 dedicated to reading series I haven't finished yet. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I have most of the books here. I will get them read one day. You know, life is about reading. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean. You know, I've got all the time in the world to read. Like, that's what life's about. Like, I don't need to rush. I can just take my time and just read what I want when I want. Like, I need to chill. But I also need to finish these series. So maybe one day. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, those are all of the series that I am currently in the middle of. It could be worse. It really could be worse. But 27 is still a lot. So hopefully I get it down in 2022. But I doubt it. Like, realistically, I'm probably just going to add to it or double it. Like, let's be honest. But who knows? Maybe I will become sensible and finish them. But yes, let me know in the comments if you have finished any of these series and what you thought of them, like which your favourites are. Or you can comment down below which series you have not yet finished or how many series you are currently in the middle of. Let me know. Is it more than 27 or is it less? Please let me know. Please make me feel better about myself. But yes, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you made it to the end, then leave a book emoji in the comments. All of my social media will be linked in the description box, along with the link to my Patreon, where you can find extra content from me, such as reading vlogs, a monthly buddy read, a Discord, much more, and lots of Christmas content. I am so excited for everything I have planned for Patreon next year. Yes, anyway, that will be linked in the description box. I hope you guys are all safe and well. I hope you're reading lots of good books, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!